Good, good. Yes, sir. Good.
Bye. It probably is. Thank you. I got that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. The time is 7:02 p.m. and I would like to call to order the Monday, April 10th, 2023 meeting of the Southampton County School Board. We have 7 of our 8 appointed members present, so we do have a quorum. One of our members, Ms. Florence Reynolds, is asked to participate in the meeting by phone tonight. According to board policy, we need board approval in order for Ms. Reynolds to do so.
I'll make a motion.
So we have a motion by Ms. Bradley, a second by Mr. Scott, that Ms. Reynolds will be allowed to participate by phone tonight. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. So Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you could hear us. Is there a board member who would like to add an item to tonight's agenda? So if there are no additions to the agenda, then the agenda stands approved as presented. The minutes of our March meeting were in your packet. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes from the March 13th, 2023 meeting? And if there are no corrections to the minutes from the March meeting, then the minutes are approved as distributed. We have no recognitions tonight, so we are down to matters from previous meetings, and the first matter is an update from the Budget Committee. Mr. Smith chairs our Budget Committee. Any update, Mr. Smith?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Dr. Shannon?
Ms. Carr is actually going to come forward with an update.
update. And didn't know if you were aware, but the Southampton County's initial draft budget, which was dated April the 5th, 2023, includes local funding for the school system for the FY24 fiscal year. So we had requested an increase of $3,171,355, which included the debt service savings of $10,116. So if the county's recommended budget is approved, we will need to cut $3,181,471 from our currently proposed local operating budget. We are scheduled to present the school board approved budget, FY24 budget, to the Board of Supervisors this Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. On March the 27th, we received an email from Brian Thrower, who's the county administrator, stating that Dr. Edwards, chairman of the Board of Supervisors, was requesting that we provide a budget report in the same format as Richmond Public Schools, and to present and review it with the Board of Supervisors at its April 12th budget work session. Mr. Thrower sent a second email on April the 3rd stating that Dr. Edwards was requesting that this report be provided ahead of the scheduled meeting. Mr. Thrower indicated that he believed the board would like time to review the report in advance and to discuss on April the 12th. So included in your packets tonight is a copy of the Richmond Public Schools format and a copy of our proposed budget in this same format. So my question for you tonight is if you, whether or not you want to present this information to the Board of Supervisors, and if so, if you want to provide it in advance of the scheduled meeting. So, if I can bring your attention, do you see the two reports? Okay, good.
Right, so if I understand Ms. Carr, your question is about this function budget, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you're gonna walk us through the function budget and how it differs, or?
Yes, I'll be glad to do that. All right, so this budget, of course, is in the same format as Richmond Public Schools, like Mr. Edwards had requested. And as you go through the, I made some notes on just a second. Okay, so the way this is set up is the way that the state general ledger is set up for state reporting. So this information that they have asked for is already in the system at the county level. So basically, all this information I pulled together, I pulled from the system that they have access to. But the different functions are broken down. As you'll see, the first one is classroom instruction. So this is, of course, where we have all of our classroom teachers, and their raises and benefits and all of our instructional programs and so forth are in this category. So you'll see that's the largest part of our budget, which we have requested $19,052,038, which is a change of $1,143,174. So the counseling services, of course, that's just, also I do want to bring note that the first column in this report is called FTEs for FY24. These are full-time equivalent positions. And that was something that I did have to generate from my department. So like for the classroom instruction, we have 204.4 FTEs, full-time equivalent positions budgeted in that function, classroom instruction. So under counseling services, we have 11 FTEs, and if you go across, you'll see we're requesting a change of $75,778, which is 8% increase in that category. Is strictly, there are some guidance services that were level funded, but that would be the 8% increase that we put in for all employees. Homebound services were level funded. Improvement of instruction, we have 20 FTEs in that category. You'll notice as you go across, that's an increase of $458,601. This is where we included an OT position for occupational therapist, a physical therapist position, and we also hired this year a new ESL teacher. So keep in mind that all of that, along with an 8% increase for all employees, and also wage compression increases for some of the classified employees that are included in improvement of instruction, which are your secretaries, clerical at the school levels, and your clerical positions at the central office level for instruction. The next category is media services, and we're requesting, there's 6 FTEs there, we're requesting $77,107. So an increase there. We had some, in the current year, we actually hired a librarian that had more years of experience, and there's only a few people in that category, so that makes a big difference percentage-wise. But that would also include the 8%, plus keep in mind that our teacher scale, some of our teachers, if they're hitting the mark, you know, the career step, they could be getting as much as 10 or, you know, % or more. Office of the Principal is 32.5 positions in that category. And so there you'll have the, we added 2 middle school principals this year. Although we eliminated 2 assistant principals, the difference in the salaries, you know, is going to be more for your principals, along with the compression adjustments for those classified employees at the office of the principal. So actually, under the improvement of instruction with your clerical staff in the instruction department, but your clerical staff or your principals actually fall under that office of the principal. So there is a wage compression adjustment there also for them. Now, if you go down to board services, there's a decrease there because we had originally budgeted for some hospitalization, but we don't have any board members taking advantage of the hospitalization piece at this point. So that just shows a decrease because of that. You still have your 9 members in the budget. Executive Administrative Services. Here you have 9.6 positions here. And then you have your HR, you have your finance department, and you have your central office secretaries and the superintendent's office. So they would have received the wage compression also. And we also added this current year the internal control specialist. So that was something that we added new this year. The information services, the $13,000 increase there is what you saw in the requested budget that we approved, that $13,000 requested increase. And then for personnel services, the $20,000 was part of the approved budget increase there. The next few categories were level funded planning, fiscal services, other contractual services, and then you come down to health services. Health services covers 13.5 FTEs. We're requesting $187,103 there. We hired, in the current year, we hired an additional social worker, so that's in there. We also hired 2 nursing assistants. And we also have the wage compression adjustments in there for the nursing staff. Under the psychological services, that decrease is strictly because when we hired our psychologist, our budget was more than what we hired the psychologist for the previous year. Now, when we go down to pupil transportation, we got management and direction. And we hired, in the current year, we hired a router which was a writer/administrative assistant. And also included in this increase are wage compressions for the secretary, dispatcher, and the router. Under vehicle operations services, we have 48 FTEs. Now that, those FTEs are because we have to count bus drivers for their full-time equivalent positions. So we actually have 97 drivers in there, but when you do a full-time equivalent position, it comes up to 48. So in here we have the wage compression for all of our drivers, car drivers, bus drivers, and driver assistants. And we have the fuel increase that was included in the budget. Under the vehicle maintenance services, we have 6. So this is our staff at the bus garage, and they do, we also put in the wage compression in for that group also. So if we go down to the next category under operations and maintenance, we have management and direction. And we have a wage compression adjustment in there for the secretary. Along, of course, along with the 8% increase, of course, for all employees. So the half FTE is in management. Under building services, we have 29.9 FTEs, but 34 actual employees. And this, of course, includes your custodial staff, and also includes your maintenance staff. And they all are included under the wage compression chart, so that increase also is accountable for that. Under grain services, we have 2 positions, or 2 FTEs allocated there. We currently do not have grain staff, but those positions are there when we can get them filled. Equipment services was level funded. Vehicle services was level funded. And then security services, we have 11.5 FTEs and a total of 12 positions under security services. So the large increase in this category was that we added a security officer to every school this year, which we only had 1 last year. So those are positions that we added. And we also are adding for next year 4 building security and 1 division security office. So that's why you see the large increase under security services. It's all the additional personnel that we hired for the current year and for the upcoming year. Under school food services, and you'll see the decrease of $152,188, and this is where we discussed moving the cost of health care over to the food service budget. Under site improvement, you'll see the large decrease, and this is mainly due to the loss of the school construction funds that we were allocated in the current year. Now these funds, we're not losing these funds because by law they have to allow us to carry them over. And so, but we won't know what that amount is, of course, until we close the books for June. Under debt service, you'll see the decrease of $10,116. Capering and Hunterdale renovations, that debt was retired. And the county also put in 5 new school buses. Under the next category, which is technology, under classroom instruction, we have 2 positions or FTEs there. And basically, I had them at step 5, and step 5 is a career step increase, plus we increased the master's degrees. So that was due to the increase there. And then under instructional support, we have 5 FTEs. And the increase there is, of course, the 8% along with the wage compression for those classified employees in the technology department. If you'll notice, school activity funds, we don't budget for those, that's kind of an in and out, but because they are asking for actual FY '22 expenditures, then they show up on the report. So in order for it to balance, we had to include that. So we're either by the end of the year, we either bill this back to the schools, or if we feel like we can cover it, we cover it for them. So you'll notice then at the bottom, the 416.5 is FTEs, full-time equivalent positions. We actually budgeted under the local operating budget 473 actual positions. So you'll notice that the change in the budget, if you go over to the right, is 1,914,523, and this represents an increase of 5.2% over the current approved budget. I would like to bring one other item to your attention. When you're looking at the actual FY2 expenditures, what we do, and we all know that a budget is an estimate. So if we come up at the end of the year and we weren't able to hire, for instance, all of our teachers, then we're gonna have personnel savings that it may be in the category of classroom instruction. So what we do, in our spend down is we purchase software programs and a lot of technology at the end of the year for our students. So the FY '22 expenditures under classroom instruction for technology is much greater than the budget, because what we end up doing, they didn't ask for appropriations, they asked for actual budget. So what we do is we move those appropriation of funds down to technology to cover the cost of our software programs, and also to cover the cost of where we're providing Wi-Fi access to the students. Some of that is reimbursable through E-rate, but it's usually a year behind before we get that money. So that large expenditure for FY '22 is a combination of our software programs and our Wi-Fi access for the students. So of course we wanted to share this with you tonight before, we shared it with the Board of Supervisors, if you so desire to share it with them.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Under what's included in ground services, I think you covered it, but
Well, ground services has, the two FTEs are for two grounds personnel that we haven't been able to hire, but also in ground services, contracted services that we contract out for anything relating to the grounds. Right now, we're contracting out, the grass and so forth. But it is contracted services in there, along with the benefits for the grounds and personnel.
so is there, and maybe this format won't allow for it, but is there any way to let others know that that number includes contractual services? Because to me, if you're saying there are two people, then it looks like you're budgeting $300,000 for two people. So is there some way you could sort of put, ground services, personnel, and contractual, something to just clarify that that amount is not just
Yes, ma'am.
paying two people?
Right. Yes,
Any
ma'am.
other-
I'll change the wording on that. Okay.
Right. Other questions from other board members? So then this means then that Wednesday night, when the budget presentation is given, instead of the categorical budget that we looked at last month, you're also going to present this functional budget. Is that?
Yes, ma'am, with y'all's permission, yes, ma'am.
So you
That's
gonna
what
do
they
both?
requested.
You gonna do both?
Yes, well, we have, yes, They already have our categorical budget.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were requesting this in addition to that. So they have our line item budget, they have every line item, and they have our categorical budget. So they were just requesting that it be put in this format.
So board members, do you have a problem
I see no,
Mrs. Smith?
I see no problem in presenting.
Okay. So that's presented this way.
Okay, thank you so much. All righty.
Yes, let's do a motion to make it clear.
I make a motion to that effect.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith, a second by Ms. Lane, that the budget presentation to the Board of Supervisors will include a functional budget as well as a categorical budget. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Any additional information, Dr. Shannon? Okay. So then, do we have anybody for public comment? So I didn't mean to skip over public comment, but we had no person sign up for public comment tonight, which is why we went straight to the, which is why we'll move on. So now we're down to action 6, which is the financial report and payment of bills. So Dr. Shannon.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Carr has already called us to make the presentation.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Okay, if I can bring your attention to the preliminary expenditure report for the month of March. The estimated local operating budget is at $37,415,688.78. And the actual expenditures through March 31st total $24,011,845.99. This leaves us a balance of $13,403,842.79. Please note that as of the date of this report, 64.18% has been expended from the operating budget. The March bill list has been attached to the agenda for the board's approval tonight. Are there any questions?
Any questions from Ms. Carr, board members? So Mr. Smith, were you able to look at
Make
it?
a motion that we pay the bills.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith, a second by Ms. Lane, that we pay the bills as presented. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We're now down to item B under action items. It's Dominion Energy, the EV bus charging station agreement. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Melby has been working with our attorneys at Sands Anderson on the agreement between us and Dominion Energy. And he's going to come forward and talk to you a little bit about the first amendment that they would like to make to that agreement.
Good evening, Dr. Goodwin, board. Thank you so much. In front of you is an amendment to the contract with Dominion, outlining just an agreement with us and Dominion that says at the end of the term, if we ask them to remove all the equipment off of our property, they will do so without cost to the division. It just needs your approval.
So we do need to take official action, so do we have a motion to approve this agreement? Have a motion by Ms. Bradley. A second, who did the second? Second by Ms. Lane to approve the Dominion Energy EV bus charging station agreement. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next action item is the Riverdale Elementary School Kindergarten Celebration. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, ma'am. The principals of Riverdale Elementary School are requesting permission to have their kindergarten celebration at the Southampton County campgrounds or fairgrounds on June 13th at 9:30 a.m. And normally they say that they pay $50 to, the Southampton County Fair Board.
And let's handle the next one, the fifth grade.
They're also requesting to be able to have the fifth grade celebration at the same location on the same day, but at 11 o'clock a.m. And again, they say that they normally pay $50.
Make a motion to approve the request.
We have a motion by Ms. Bunn, a second by Mr. Scott, to approve the Riverdale Elementary School request to have those two programs at the Southampton County Fairgrounds. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. So we are now down to the academic calendar for the 23-24 school year. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, the academic calendar represents our teachers having 193 teacher days, new teachers having 195 days, and 182 instructional days.
Is there a big difference in next year's and this year's?
We don't have the virtual days in this year's calendar. You know, during COVID, we were allowed to do virtual, and this past year, we did have virtual days, but there are no virtual days in this calendar.
Okay, so that's the biggest difference in the.
Yes.
They're all in person, 182 in-person days is scheduled for students. Do we have a motion to approve? So we have a motion by Mr. Scott. We said a second by Mr. Bradley to approve the academic calendars presented for the 23-24 school year, noting that it includes 182 teaching days, 191 teacher days, 193 teacher days for new teachers, but we know that teachers are contracted for 200 days. So all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? So we have approved the academic calendar. The next action item is the 12-month employee calendar for the 23-24 school year.
The 12-month calendar reflects 14 paid holidays for 12-month employees, and that's the same number of paid holidays that we had this past year.
I have a motion by Ms. Bradley,
Second.
a second by Mr. Scott, to approve the Southampton County Public Schools 2023-24 12-month employee calendar. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Item G is the athletic schedules for spring 2023. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, in your packet, you have an athletic schedule for JV softball, boys tennis, girls tennis, JV baseball, soccer for the high school track, varsity baseball, and varsity softball. I will note that some of the seasons have already begun.
Any questions about spring athletic schedules? Do we have a motion to approve?
So be it.
I have a motion by Mr. Smith, a second by Ms. Lane, to approve the spring athletic schedules. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Those are all the action items for tonight, so we'll move to number 7 on our agenda, which is informational items. Dr. Shannon, the first item is the instructional report.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Gillette will come forward and talk with you all about the streaming 3 being filmed, SOL dates, as well as kindergarten registration.
Good evening, Dr. Goodwood, Dr. Shannon, board members and all present. As Dr. Shannon said, this evening I'll be talking about streaming free videoing for our pre-grade, SOL dates, and kindergarten registration. We were very excited that our pre-K and our special ed pre-K classes were nominated to participate in the streaming free filming project. We were told that the amazing work you've been doing to effectively use the streaming free curriculum is why we were chosen. We had 3 classroom teachers volunteer. We had Miss Sandra Lindsay at Maharon, Miss Pamela Warren at Riverdale, and also Miss Laura White from Riverdale that volunteered. The teachers and students signed consent forms to participate in the filming, and it was used to create videos to be used with teachers across the state of Virginia and other states as a training tool to enhance teachers' experiences with the streaming free curriculum. So we're very proud of them for being nominated. We're not surprised. They do an amazing job every day. And I just have a few pictures. I don't have a video, but I can provide that, a link to that, if you'd like, at our next meeting. I did want to share the SOL dates with you. I have elementary in green, the middle school in blue, and yellow is the high school. And you can see that 5th grade science is on the 17th, followed by elementary reading on the 23rd, 24th, and 25th, followed by the 31st and the 1st of June with 5th grade math, 4th grade math, followed by 3rd grade math on June 2nd. And elementary rounds up on the 8th June with Virginia Studies. The middle school will have their history, civics, 8th grade on the 23rd, and then they'll have all of their reading, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade on the 26th, followed by our physical science 8th grade on the 31st. And they'll close theirs on the 2nd of June with all of their math, which includes Math 6, Math 7, Pre-Algebra, and Algebra 1. All of our high school will take their SOLs the week of the 15th, starting with science, followed by history, math, and then 11th grade reading. Do want to remind you that these are the dates when all students will take the SOLs. The passing score of an SOL is 400. If students do not pass the SOL and they fall within 375 to 399, they are allowed to have an expedited retake. They will be remediated and have an expedited date later after. And then, as usual, we'll have our kindergarten registration on April 26th. It will be at each elementary school from 4 to 6. And of course, parents are asked to bring birth certificate, immunization record, physicals, social security card, proof of legal guardianship, and as always, we ask for 2 proofs of residence. And that is your instructional report for April. Do you have any questions this evening?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
We have reading, middle school reading and grade 3 math on a Friday.
Yes, ma'am. We have we have Memorial Day in there, so we never test on a Monday when kids come back weekend. So we start testing on Tuesdays, with the exception of the high school science, that is on the 15th. But with elementary, we don't test on a Monday.
I don't want to rock the boat or anything, but Friday is just a day that they don't take a test on Friday. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
So Monday is not a good day, Friday is not a good day. But can you adjust it to get it off that Friday?
Yes, ma'am, I can talk to Dr. Shannon and,
I mean, I'm not trying to rock the boat, but this, in my experience, Mondays and Fridays are not
Yes,
good
ma'am.
days to test SOL.
understand. Yes, ma'am, so that's something we can look into.
But if we push it back, then does that allow enough time?
Yes,
for retakes?
that month of May is a window of taking those SOL, that whole month of May.
Yes, so we spread out the SOLs, because 5th grade takes 4, so we try to spread them out through each week. And then we go into the first week of June, going into the second week, and then they get out the next week. And we want to make sure they have enough time, if they need to expedite, that they have the remediation time to be able to fit that in.
So if I hear you correctly, Ms. Lynn, you're asking if we cannot have testing on Fridays, is that it? If the schedule can be adjusted so that there would be no SOL test given on Friday, because right now, it looks like the middle school reading, the grade 3 math, and the middle school math, those 3 are on Fridays. Is it possible to adjust the schedule so they won't be on Fridays?
Yes, ma'am, I can check with Dr. Shannon.
We can look at it, but those dates aren't arbitrary dates. You know, it was a lot of time put into selecting the dates for those, for testing. We met with principals, and the principals got together, and thus to determine which dates would be most beneficial for our students. And so we can look at it, but I can't give you an answer right now. We'll have to go back and look at it so I can give you an answer at the May board meeting.
Is that acceptable, Ms. Lane?
Because we'll have the May meeting before the testing begins. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Lyon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the next informational item is the maintenance, operations, and transportation report. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Miller's on his way. And of course, he'll tell you about the progress that we've made in maintenance, transportation, and operations.
Good evening once again, everyone. I think we can be pretty brief with this one here, so. All right, so the EV charging ports have been installed at the school board office and at the schools, and we continue to put those in at the elementary schools as well. The athletic field lighting project is 99.95% done. Talked to the high ground today, a rep from Musco, they had 2 lights on the baseball field that did not work when they tested them Friday. So Musco is sending somebody to replace those 2 individual bulbs. So hopefully at the next home game, we're gonna light it up. We're waiting next steps with Sonny Merriman for the EV bus program with the federal government. Division has submitted our application for the school construction assistance program. With the help of Dr. Shannon, we've gotten that put in. We completed the final phases with Edulog to allow parents so that we can do online registration through the app for transportation for this upcoming school year. We are developing our surplus equipment. We'll have that for you next month so we can do an auction and get rid of inoperable machinery on our bus lot. And we're preparing for summer school, both transportation, food service departments. The information, details, and formal announcements for the summer feeding programs will be shared at our May and June meetings as well. And there is a list of all the different maintenance pieces that we have completed in the last month that you guys can peruse at your own time, so I don't read 90 different things for you. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Melvin? Any questions for Dr. Shannon? Then we'll move on then to the student enrollment report and the teacher-student attendance report. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, ma'am. Based on the March enrollment data, we have 2,552 students total. The winner of the Student Attendance Award and the Teacher Attendance Award is Nottoway Elementary School. And they had 94.43% of attendance for students and 96.05 attendance for teachers.
The school calendars and newsletters were included in the board documents that you received. Please read them and attend as many functions as possible. So pursuant to section 2.2-3711A1 and 2 of the Virginia Freedom of Information, the board upon a motion and a second will convene in a closed session to consider the following: personnel appointments, resignations, retirements, and compensation, intra-district student transfer requests, out-of-district student requests, student discipline matters. After the closed session, the board will return to this area to take any necessary actions on the matters discussed in closed session. Do we have such a motion?
I make a motion.
We have a motion by Ms. Brantley, a second by Ms. Roundtree, that we convene on a closed session. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? So So we will convene in closed session.